Hi guys, this is my second video on bedding. First thing you'll probably notice in this video is my bollocks aren't being crushed by my shorts, which you probably picked up on the first one. Anyway, this time we're talking about bedding the mount rather than the base. Last time we bedded the base, or actually technically we actually glued it in place, stress-free of course. This time we're going to be bedding the mounts. I'm using Weather mounts here. They're tip-off mounts. They're removable, as you can see. I've already lightly sanded the inside and roughed it up a little bit just to add a little bit more adhesion. Now the whole point of bedding the rings especially is you really are trusting that their machining tolerances are very, very tight when they're making these. And you know, you've got so many variables, especially with two-piece bases. You've got the alignment of the screw holes in the receiver, you've got, you know, the machining tolerances of the base itself, and then you've got the machining tolerances of the scope ring. And oftentimes what you'll have is, you know, one might be slightly too high and then you're warping the scope vertically, and then one might be slightly twisted and then you're warping the scope horizontally. And you want to avoid these stresses, especially if you have a nice high quality scope. The other thing, the benefit of bedding these is to add 100% contact, and the more contact, more friction, the less likely it is to move around, and the less you have to tighten them down as well once they're all done. This really is an alternative to what other people do, which is lapping. What you'll generally have is, if you have 1-inch rings, you'll have a 1-inch, 1-inch piece of steel, obviously round. You put it in there. You add your lapping compound, which is usually an abrasive, and you lap it backwards and forwards. And what you're doing is removing material which would otherwise try and bend the scope slightly. This way is a lot cheaper, and you'll probably get better contact since you're basically forming the bases onto the scope now. I find it works very, very well, and once it's all set up and you've popped it off, when you put it back on there, moving it backwards and forwards is very, very hard because you've got 100% contact, and that's really what you're looking for. And there's no stress being induced, from the receiver, from the mounts, from the rings onto the scope, and vice versa. All right, so stress-free setup, which is what we're looking for. The scope I'm going to be putting on here is a Nikon Monarch. It looks kind of dirty at the moment. What I've done is I've applied, I'll show you, kiwi shoe polish, and I use neutral because there's no colour, which means it's going to be a lot less messy to clean up, and I've put that on there. What I haven't done is buffed it. Okay, so you probably can't see me, but what I'm going to do now is just get a rag, and I'm going to buff the areas where I've applied the wax, and what you'll find is it becomes shinier and shinier, and this allows very close tolerances compared to some other release agents which you put on in a gel-like state. And then it comes off afterwards. This one, you might be able to see that it is a little bit more shiny now than this one, which is a lot more of a matte finish. And the doesn't add any extra thickness, probably not that you could even measure. Get nice and shiny. Remember, if it's shining, there's still wax on there, so don't worry that you're removing it all. This is only one layer. If you want to, you can add many layers to make it more shiny. Just like that. So see, nice and shiny now, and that's going to pop off quite easily. I'm just going to set that to one side. What I've got here now is the JB Weld. Okay, so you have the steel part, which is here, and you also have, what's that, is it the hardener? Yes, the hardener, which is the light coloured stuff, and it will mix to a sort of medium grey colour, maybe even a dark metallic grey colour. So it's basically a two-part epoxy that has steel particles to add strength to it. As I said in the last video, you want every molecule of part A right next to molecule of part B. So we're using a nice strong adhesive. JB Well is ideal for this, for small projects, for bedding, especially if you're going to do a lot of rifles. It's probably better to buy something like a Devcon or Marine Tex, because you usually buy it in 1 pound tubs. This stuff usually comes in small little tubes just like that. All over myself now. So it'll probably do one bedding job. It did for me. There's a little bit left over just for touch-ups in case you miss a bubble or something. But you can buy it in an industrial size.